Hi, I'm Zachary, and this is my game Garbanzo Quest. Garbanzo Quest is a bullet heck platformer inspired by older SNES-era games like Super Mario World, but with the more modern touches you might expect in newer titles like Celeste and Undertale. 3 years ago, I quit my full-time job in web development, and with the money I had saved up, I made this game in 3 years all by myself, with a completely custom engine developed in C# utilizing Monogame. I released the full version of the game on September 4th, 2024, 7 months ago as of this video. I love Garbanzo Quest, and I'm very proud of the game. There's not much I would change about it. I think it came out really well, and that's not even considering that it's the first project I've worked on for more than a couple of weeks. But as you can probably tell from the title of the video, it didn't do so well financially speaking. So was Garbanzo Quest a total failure? Definitely not, but I wouldn't call it a total success either. Real quick, I would like to thank my patrons for helping make this video possible. More on how to show your support at the end of the video. Garbanzo Quest has not reached 1% of its true potential. I strongly believe that my game is in the same league as others like Pizza Tower and Celeste. Those games sold copies ranging in the millions, but mine didn't even hit 1% of that. My financial goal for the game was exactly that, to sell at least 1% as many copies as Pizza Tower did. So that's 20,000 copies. To me, that seemed like a reasonable goal, so how close did I get? To date, I've sold 2,687 copies of Garbanzo Quest. Yep. That's 0.1%, not the 1% I was going for. That sucks. That's pitiful. Now I know what you might be thinking. This guy's delusional, and his game probably just sucks. Well, you're wrong, and I have the numbers to prove it. First is the most obvious one. Garbanzo Quest has no negative reviews. Yep, not a single one. Out of the 239 reviews the game has now, not a single one is negative. If you actually read through the reviews, you'll see another thing. Pretty much every other review remarks on how much of a hidden gem the game is. Speaking of hidden gems, did you know that Steam 250 has an algorithm dedicated solely to finding underappreciated games on Steam? Can you guess out of the 250 games in this algorithm where Garbanzo Quest is? 200? 100? 50? No, it's number 1. That's right, even according to this algorithm, Garbanzo Quest is the most underrated game on Steam. In case that wasn't enough, I have one more point of evidence for you today. The average return rate for games on Steam is 10%. I'm sure you know where this is going, so I'll just tell you right now it's 3%. 3%! That's very low. So you might be wondering now, how exactly did this game not get noticed? It can be hard to tell these things, since there's a lot of luck involved, but in this day and age of algorithms and social medias, it seems to me you either blow up or you die. There doesn't seem to be much in between anymore. When I was making Garbanzo Quest, I didn't want to take over the world or anything, I just wanted to make a humble living. So I didn't really overthink anything. I mostly just focused on making a good game and I thought that would be enough. Oh, how naive I was. I know now how much of a Herculean task it is just to be okay. Just to afford the basic necessities of a normal life feels almost insurmountable. That's not to say I didn't make an effort to market the game. I was very active on Twitter for the 3 years I worked on the game, also making YouTube videos every now and then. I also reached out to hundreds of YouTubers and Twitch streamers around launch. I contacted influencers large and small. I did find smaller influencers were much better at responding and covering the game. Getting the attention of larger influencers seemed almost impossible. I did hear back from one, but they would only play the game if I paid them $2,000, and it would be just for 2 hours. This seemed a little insulting, especially to someone as small a time as me. After releasing Garbanzo Quest, I started doing more research about how to get ahead in these algorithm things. And this one video really stood out to me. There were 2 very interesting points made in the video. 1. Don't make a platformer. 2. Don't do early access.
Go to early access. Let me launch into early access and we'll see what I need to fix about my game. Don't do that. Do not. Red flag. Absolute. Stop what you're doing. Don't do that.
God damn it, I did both those things. For whatever reason, platformers on Steam perform very poorly in the algorithm. And as for early access, what I thought was just a cute little preview thing I was doing to get some early feedback was actually a very crucial mistake. And as far as the Steam algorithm is concerned, when you release a game in early access, you are effectively launching your game. So if your game kind of fizzles out when you launch in early access, your game will be considered a dud from then on. This strategy works fine for games that are much more polished looking, but when I launched Garbanzo Quest in early access, I was only a year in, and it looked pretty much like a student project at that point. I'm afraid to tell you that is not the only thing that went wrong. It gets worse. Much worse. Let me tell you about release day. So remember the early access thing? Since I'm such a nice guy, I decided to charge less for my game while it was in early access. It started at $7 and I worked my way up to $20 as the game got better and closer to release. When new games release on Steam, it's pretty common for them to have a special release discount, usually around 15%. Now I went with 25% because my wish lists were pretty low. They were around 2,500 at the time. Ideally, they would have been at least in the 7,000 to 10,000 range, because that's how you get on Steam's popular and upcoming tab. So anyways, on release day, my game was 25% off of $20, right? No, wrong. It was 25% of $12. What? I would describe my experience working with Steam's developer backend as at best clunky and at worst total and complete agony. I had a discount scheduled for release day, September 4th, 2024 at around 8 a.m. I was ready at my computer a few minutes after 8 a.m., ready to hit the release button. By then, the discount had already started. One of the steps for release was to update the price from $12 to $20, something I'd done for every update prior. Well, here's a fun fact for you. You can't change the price of your game once a discount has started, even if you scheduled the price change well ahead of time. Also, once a discount starts, you can't stop it. My game was going to be stuck at 25% off of $12 for a whole week during the most important moment of the game's life. If I had woken up and noticed this earlier, I could have canceled the discount, but by now it was too late. But hold on, it gets worse. Fun fact number 2, you can't exit early access while you have a pending price change. So on release day, I can't update the price of my game because of the discount, and I can't exit early access because of the pending price change. But hold on, it gets even worse. While I'm trying to deal with this, the power company knocks on our door and says that they have to turn the power off to do some maintenance. What? When has this ever been a thing, and why is this happening right now? After 3 years of hard work, everything is going wrong all at once. By now, I am panicking. I am racing against time before the power gets shut off. I am looking for a phone number to call Steam to get some help, but they just don't have one. If something goes wrong, your only choice is to write them an email. I do end up writing an email, but who knows how long it will take them to get back to me. Spoilers, they do end up getting back to me, but only days later, and with a copy-paste text about their policy with price changes and discounts. They were not willing to help me in the slightest. I feel now is a good time to mention that Steam takes 30% of my sales. And for what? What kind of service is this? This was one of the most important days in my career, and it was totally ruined by one tiny little mistake. This could have happened to anyone, and Valve didn't do a thing to help me. I don't want to be too harsh on them because they do provide an invaluable service to us developers, but I gotta say, this entire experience is way more horrible than it had to be. That 30%, by the way, is the difference between life and death for my business. If Valve wants to keep smaller indies alive so they can keep making games for their platform, maybe they should consider adding a sliding scale based on income for how much of a cut they take. However, there is a small relief here. Hidden in the clunky mess that is Steam's developer backend, I do end up discovering that you can cancel a price change after it's been scheduled. Thank God. This means I can exit early access and release my game on launch day. I may be stuck selling my game for almost half of what I was planning, but at this point I'll take it. Soon after I figure this out, I release my game and announce it on social media right before the power goes out. Now I'm just left to sit there and wait until the power comes back on. Fast forward to the end of the day, and I've made exactly 247 sales. That's the most I've ever made in a day, but it's still not that great. I didn't think I was going to be a millionaire by the end of the day or anything, but I was hoping for a little bit more than that. It's hard to put in the words just how horrible I felt at the end of the day. Not just because of the poor sales figures, but the entire process of launching a game on Steam itself was incredibly painful. After a week passes, the discount ends with just shy of 700 sales, or $6,280. After Valve takes their 30% and setting aside money for income tax, I'm left with just a little over half, or $3,956.40. After 3 years of working full-time on this thing, I've made just enough money to cover expenses for about 2 months. At least now that the release discount is over, I can finally update the price of my game and forget all about this emotional turmoil. It's taken me 6 months to make this video, because I really needed some time before I could think about all of this again. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. Garbanzo Quest truly seems to be the prime example of a work of art that is loved by many and known by few. For what a small audience the game has reached, it really does seem to resonate strongly with those people, and I got the numbers this time too. While looking at the achievements for the game, we can see that a whopping 12.5% of people 100% complete the entire game. 100% means they did every single thing the game has to offer. They beat every level, every boss, and found every little secret there is to find. This game has a lot of secrets too. About half of the game is completely optional. Now maybe 12.5% doesn't sound like a lot, but if you look at Celeste's equivalent 100% achievement, it's almost double. I'm confident that I did everything I could to make a truly special and worthwhile experience. As a game developer, I did my job, and I did it well. So after all this pain and heartache, why would anyone ever want to do this again? You'd have to be a crazy person, some kind of masochist to ever even think about making another. Now announcing my next game, Super Debt. Super Debt is a bullet hell roguelike where everything is tied into one resource, money. In Super Debt, you play as Zoe Zombie and encounter many horrific monsters in a spooky capitalist dystopia taking place in an alternate reality where Garbanzo never saves the world. This is because not enough people bought Garbanzo Quest. That's right, despite everything, I'm back for more. Garbanzo Quest may not have been a huge success, but it is generating just barely enough money for me to have a second chance. It doesn't always cover 100% of my monthly expenses, but I still have a small amount of money saved up to compensate. Just a quick aside, something I've learned is that customers on Steam really like their discounts, and not just a little bit. About 90% of my income comes during discounts. I always knew they helped, but I didn't know just how much people really hate buying things at full price. So I pretty much have a discount whenever I'm allowed to, roughly every 37 days. One of my main concerns this time is presentation. After seeing Pizza Tower be successful with its sloppy yet endearing style, I thought it was fine that Garbanzo Quest looked a little dinky. This time, making the game look impressive is top priority. I even got help from a professional illustrator to do the key art this time. I've grown a lot as an artist myself, and I think the in-game pixel art is already much more impressive than Garbanzo Quest. I love games that are challenging and harsh, but during Garbanzo Quest's development, I found myself having to rein everything in because of the game's cute and friendly art style. I was able to fit a little bit of this in at the end with the secret optional stuff, but I wasn't truly satisfied. So that's what Super Debt is. It's Garbanzo Quest, but just the mean and prickly parts. Now that I'm making a game that looks mean, I can make it as hard as I want. The initial idea for the game was a 100-floor dungeon with no checkpoints. You'd have to beat the entire game without dying, learning and improving your skills with every attempt. My primary inspiration being Gauntlet for the NES. I found myself adding more and more randomized elements to make doing subsequent runs more interesting. And before long, I found the game had turned into a roguelike. It seemed I had followed a similar path to the initial inventors of the roguelike genre, completely by accident. Super Debt isn't like other roguelikes though. I have a lot of weird and crazy ideas for this game. I think the money is everything mechanic is really interesting. Your health is money, your stamina is money, your time limit is money, even your money acts like actual money. There's lots of different weapons in the game too, like the yo-yo blade that's always trying to kill you, or the haunted poker deck where you have to make poker hands to kill enemies. Anyways, since I don't have as much money as I did when I started Garbanzo Quest, my plan is to have a much shorter turnaround time for this project. I'm aiming to have the game finished in around 6 to 12 months, as opposed to the 3 years it took me to make Garbanzo Quest. It's a little ambitious, I know, but even now, 3 months into the project, I'm way farther than I was with Garbanzo Quest at this point. I learned a lot during the 3 years I spent making Garbanzo Quest, and combined with some clever asset reuse, I think I can reach my goal. If you want to check out the game now, I'm doing early access builds through my Patreon. Not Steam this time, you know why. I am this close to breaking even, so really every bit helps. It's now that I'd like to thank my patrons for helping make this video possible. John Paul Gardner, DoujinShinji, Paka, Kent Reese, Quinton McCollum, Osto, Ryan Neese, Jake Horsley, Yosi C, YoshyFoods, and Nosa. If you'd like to check out my next project early, or if you just want to help support me as an artist, consider becoming a patron today. There's also a Discord where I post in-progress stuff for my projects and just chat generally about game development. If you made it to the end of this video, you're extra cool and you get a gold star. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.